Hey guys, welcome to the web scraping part of this module. What I'd like you to do for this module or this part is read through the text here, read the Wikipedia article here about web scraping. Make sure you go through and understand common techniques from human copying to text grepping. Maybe understand what that is, data mining, to HTML parsers, and then web scraping software. This is where it gets kind of fun. Make sure you browse and understand, not just browse, but understand the legal issues and things that you should and shouldn't do. In certain cases, you may need to read through the provider's website to make sure they are okay with you scraping data. And I want you to be able to discuss this in your blog post this week. And then I want you to understand technical measures to stopping bots. So if you have a website or service in the future and you don't want bots to scrape your data, how can you prohibit that? And then browse through some of these notable tools. I've listed a few later in the module here that I want you to use, but on your additional time in this course you might browse through other scraper tools and identify some that you like better than the ones that we're explaining in the class. And the next thing I want you to do is read through an article about data scraping without programming tools. This is an interesting article that explains some of the processes and procedures in place that you can do to scrape data without programming. Said about that. And then an article, an example here of how to scrape a Wikipedia article into a Google spreadsheet. And what I want you to do is actually, there it is, it wasn't loaded. So I want you to go through this example, identify the data set here, a list of largest United Kingdom settlements by population, and just literally walk through the exercise that this guy uses to scrape data. It will require a little bit of troubleshooting to get the correct piece of data. So he enters a little parameter down here that might be off a little bit. I want you guys to try this on your own and then figure out how to adjust that parameter. I promise you it's relatively easy. And then as we get into this module, if there's additional help needed, I'll post another help text later to explain how to do this. And I'd also like you guys to help each other with this activity. But what I want you to do is go through this activity and scrape data from the wiki page into a Google spreadsheet, and then take that data. You don't need to publish it as a web page, but what I want you to do is copy it into a Google spreadsheet, and then I'm going to show you how to convert it to a Google Fusion table and geocode some of the data. So be familiar with all of this process. You don't have to go through the final steps here. I'll give you more detail, but I do want you to understand how to do this whole process in this page. Enough said. Then I want you to view Scraper Wiki, and in Scraper Wiki, this is a place where people share their scraper code. So ways to scrape other pages, and you can actually write code and share it. But you can also browse scrapers. This is what I want you to do. I want you to click the Browse Scrapers button, and I want you to go in here and look and see what kind of scrapers people have already created. And again, a scraper, as you've read just a little bit here in this module, is a way to go to a website, a published web page, and scrape data that's on that web page, and then convert it into an Excel spreadsheet or a Google table, a Google spreadsheet or Google table that you can use for later analysis and visualization. A lot of these names are kind of weird here. I don't know what the homework scraper, well, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't show you how to use that one, but there's all kinds of weird ways and weird things that people are doing to scrape data. Here's an interesting one, YouTube. So this was written in 42 lines of code, and it only shows 2 rows of data. Well, that doesn't sound all that fun. This is one, WLM Tweets. It has 819 rows of data. Well, let's see what this one is. Click. And so you can edit the code. I don't know how to program these. If you know how to program them, that's great. But you can copy the code, make a new scraper, so you can take somebody else's code, copy it, make a new scraper, view the source, all that's kind of cool. Or you can just use the scraper that they have and use that data. So if I wanted to do that, this is somebody's WLM tweets. Wiki loves monuments tweet scraper. So this has evidently found somebody's Wiki loves monuments tweets and is scraping them. And you can see they've got a language code, a username, user ID, text of the tweet, when it was created. So it looks like it found here a tweet that was on Friday, August 31. It's pretty recent. In reply of profile image URL. So this is getting some kind of cool stuff. This might be kind of fun to play with. So if you wanted to use that data, you could download as a CSV file. So I'm going to download that as a CSV. Looks like I have it. I'll click on it. Now when I click on a CSV file, it's opening that into Microsoft Excel. There's all kinds of interesting data here. There's a metadata and a geo. So geo, I don't know if that's anything that we're going to be able to use or not, but here's how you play with it. You take that, it's called 15mtweets.csv. You save that, that's fine. And then I'm going to go into my Google Docs account. So go to Google Docs. Mine is set up as Google Drive. I'm going to go into Google Drive and create a spreadsheet and import a new spreadsheet, choose a file. That was a CSV file, so I'm going to go to my downloaded documents, sort by the most recent date added, 15mtweets CSV, open that, bing. Okay, so it's a CSV, which is file format that's a tabular data, and I'm creating a new spreadsheet. I'm going to choose the default actions here and import that. File imported successfully, and I'm just going to open it now. So here's my data that I found on the web that somebody else scraped off of a website somewhere, and it brought this into Google Spreadsheets. Now I'm going to save this 15mtweets. I can change the name of it if I want to, like IT IQ Biz Lab Test, and say OK. And then now if I wanted to convert this to a fusion table, what I'll do is go back to my Google Docs and create, and I'm going to pull down to more and click table beta and create a new fusion table from a Google spreadsheet. So I could actually, I think, also pull in that CSV file. If I click from my computer, choose, I could pull in that 15mtweets CSV file, but let's say I had taken it into Google Spreadsheets like we just did, and now I want to import that into a Google Fusion table, and we'll explain more about the value and benefit of this later. Select. Import failed. Bling. It's not able to do that one. So cancel. Let's go back and try it again as a to make a table. Choose a file from the tweets CSV file. Let's see if we can import that one as a comma separated value CSV, and see if it'll take that. Okay, so now it has imported that data, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time again thinking about what that data is, but it's imported it into a fusion table. So I'm going to hit next. You should give credit to where you found the data. what was this from a wiki scraper, and then give the URL for that, and then some description. You should always credit your sources here. So like if I wanted to go back to that URL, I could go back here and say kind of here's where I found that, and then go back to my Fusion table and say that's where I found it. Finish. And now what it's doing is importing that into a Fusion table. So what I can do is I can visualize that. Let's see if it had any location data. I'll visualize that as a map. It doesn't look like it has found any location data, so at this point I'm not going to worry about it. But that's how you take data that you've been able to scrape off of the web, and you're reading about that in other literature here, into a Google spreadsheet or a Google Fusion table, and create data that we can do other stuff with. And so we'll look more at how to use this data later. I want you to go and browse through scrapers and look at the list of scrapers, look at the data, see what's in there, and then click browse here, and you'll notice that you can find, if you go into the popular tags one, this is kind of a good place to browse. So you go back to Scraper Wiki and browse through things that you're interested in. So I know a few of you guys are interested in educational, like literacy. There's one of you that's involved in government database things, maybe locations or weather stations or things like that. So you can go through here and find a database, something about weather. Somebody's created some weather scraping data sets. So this is one for scraping data off of weather.gov, and it's weather reporting stations. We'll address that a little bit later in the course here. So I want you to do a lot of browsing, looking at those databases, reading the titles, clicking on it, looking at the data that's in there to see if this is possibly an interesting data set that you can visualize as part of your class project. So that's Scraper Wiki. Read the stuff about finding data is messy. We've also searched for databases that may be useful related to a sociology course. So you can click on that. I think this is shared. If anybody has trouble viewing this share, let me know, and I will I'll make this more available to you. But we found databases related to population statistics, census data, crime data, Lexington, I think maybe crime data, Lexington population demographics, global climate change information. So some of these databases may be useful, some not. Consumption resources databases, agricultural databases, food and agriculture. So there's a list of possible data sources that you may be able to find databases. So I want you to do a lot of searching and browsing and digging for data that you think will be important and meaningful to you in your final project, which can relate to another class or your job or something that you're just personally interested in.